Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of the Wheel of Time recap reviews with Nat and Terrell here as we give you another exciting, like I said, recap. Really appreciate you guys for watching these. Thanks for following along. Keep giving us more questions. Nat's going to answer all of them for you. I would try to answer as much as I can, but we really appreciate you for watching this. Definitely, we're having fun just talking about it. But we really appreciate you, having that after show that you can kind of vent with, and we want to be right there with you. But as we come back, from a fantastic episode, this show seems to really want to take you down a couple notches. It's like, man, this show just cannot have a happy moment, and it's really starting to break me down a little bit. Every time I'm like, all right, we're doing good. Nah, we're gonna give you this episode and we're gonna put you in your feelings for a second. We're gonna make you mad. And this episode, I think, hit it every part. And the episode is titled Eyes Without Pity. Yeah. So Nat, before we even get into this, like what was your overall thoughts, your feelings? Like how's it made you feel as you watched it?
This was the episode that I was dreading, but at the same time looking forward to at the same time, because this is what happened to Egwene. Yeah, that happened in the books. And I told myself that I wasn't going to cry. And I think what tipped me over was Rima, sacrificial Negro. So, we'll get into that a little bit later. But that tipped me over. Yeah. But yeah. But the rest of this episode, weirdly, it was paced weird for me. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And maybe because I wanted to focus more on Egwene and Co, that I was just like, can we get back to them? Like, what? And maybe that's what it was. But Matt and Rand, their reunion was awesome. Matt figuring out about men, that was sucky. And then Lanfear being Lanfear. Like, and then of course more Moiraine and her sister. Like that, it was good, but it was still kind of like paced weird. So yeah, I wanted to know if you thought the same thing. Or
yeah, there's a lot of hard jumps to like. I'm like, okay, dang, okay, we're going here, we're going there, we're coming back here. Like, I feel like in previous episodes, like we would stay with like a certain character for maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and then we would go whatever. But this seems like they would just kind of jump in between everybody at once. Like they kind of wanted to show the time of like where everything was. Like, okay, this is happening the exact same second as this. That's probably why they did it like that. But yeah, it was a little weird on the pacing this episode for sure. Like I said, we're back for episode 6, and as we start off, we know Egwene, she got captured. She was the one that didn't get away, unfortunately, because nobody wanted to go back for her. Miss Nynaeve, I keep thinking to myself, she's powerful enough to probably take out everybody here. And I'm sure Leandrin left her there with the intention, thinking that it was going to trigger her power. And that backfired in her face almost immediately. And like I said, she's captured. And like I said, we're going to get back to that. We get a little bit more detail because that's clearly throughout the episode. Is sprinkled, like we get a little bit of this and like exactly what's going on. Rand is still. We come back to Rand after we left him in the previous. He's talking to Lanfear Celine about what's going on, and she is talking about how she has been the one that's actually been protecting him this entire time, and the reason why his dreams has not been invaded is because she's been there, snuggled up with him. It's like they're both trying to work each other in this episode, this part of the episode. And like I said, and you were talking about the book earlier. Do they kind of frame it the same way as like, okay, Rand is in the dream world trying to play her, she's trying to play him. They're both trying to get something out of this.
No, this is very different. So like in the Great Hunt, Rand doesn't really know who she is. But of course, as time goes on, us as the reader kind of figures out, okay, something's off. Like in the show, like something's off with her. We're not quite sure what it is, but something's off. And so like she does kind of introduce him to the dream world, Tellerama. So that is in tune with what's happening in Great Hunt, but it's kind of weird too the way that they do it. But this is actually slightly better because he's a little more aware of it. But at the same time, I was kind of hoping he would get a little more of a lesson. But Lanfear is still manipulating him, and he tried, and it was a clear manipulation on her part, especially showing him Egwene. Even the beginning of his dream, a Shamael appearing. I don't think that was a Shamael. I think that was her projecting, and so he could be manipulated even more. I don't think that was Shamael at all.
Yeah, he we see him kind of coming in and out of it too, but I don't think he's ever made his presence known. Like, as when we see him pop in, he's kind of just lurking in the background. This was like blatantly like, oh yeah, we see him. Oh yeah, he just tried to pop in. You know what I mean? Like, no, come on. Like, think he would be that smart, but they're clearly trying to work him. This scene reminded me, I don't know if you've seen Sandman on Netflix.
Yeah.
Kind of how like that dreamscape is. It kind of reminded me of like how that's similar to that. Like, she's sitting on the throne or whatever that is. And it just kind of reminded me of that whole world. I thought it looked really good. Again, Amazon flexing that budget. Hopefully, showing what they could do with some good CGI. And shout out to Celine and Lanfear, like the actress that play her. Like, man, when she does her normal like regular look, and then like this like almost two different people, I keep thinking like, man, is that somebody else? he looks completely different. Shout out to the makeup and the hair department. They did a really good job there. Like really
name twin Natasha O'Keefe.
really setting the tone of like the kind of the difference between those two personas. Like, I thought they did a really, really good job. But yeah, like you said, we try to play each other. They wake up, Moraine's like, hey, they make a deal, saying, hey, she said, I gotta leave you. I can't stay here with you. That's part of the deal for me to do XYZ. And Moraine's just like, oh, okay. Again, we see another situation where Moiraine no longer has control. She's been the one in the driver's seat, since season 1, and she had power. She was able to do XYZ. Now she's just like, I kind of have no choice. I'm not one that doesn't have the power here, and we see a lot of that throughout the episode with her sister. Then we get into, like I said, Moiraine and Rand talking about Logain being moved, and him, pretty much her setting up that whole thing because she knew he was going to come across and want to be trained by him. Something I wanted to ask you when I was watching this: is Logain's power truly 100%? I mean, I guess that's a spoiler. I was gonna say, like, at this point, his power is 100% removed. Like, it's gone, or he can no longer tap into the one power anymore.
So, forewarning, guys, especially for my book readers, like, I'm going off of my memory of reading several times this series. So if I get something like wrong, let me know in the comments. But let me know. Just know that it's pretty much my memory that I'm looking at, more so anything else. Like, I may occasionally read something. Like, I thought about reading what happened with Egwene tonight, but I was like, nah, I'm not trying to traumatize myself anymore. So as far as the situation with Rand and Moiraine in particular, no, that's not in the books at all. From what I remember. What was the question again? Because I feel like I went off on a tangent.
I was asking as far as like Logain, like his power, like he's
okay, yeah,
on how to use it, but I question if he still has a sense of the power because he's still able to identify I mean they kind of explained it like he could see the light around Rand when he initially came in, but somehow he could still identify that who has it, who does it, which then again I kind of contradict myself because he couldn't detect it around Moiraine, who was kind of playing, back when she had the knife in her hand and everything like that. Couldn't tell that she no longer had the power.
Well, that's different. Like, as far as men and women, they can't sense each other as far as being able to channel and also like seeing each other's weaves. So us as the audience can see both weaves, but the protagonists or the men and women can't see each other's weaves. Yeah, I can't get into that, but there are probably ways, but they haven't touched on it in the show yet, so I can't get into it. But In a general sense, no, they can't see each other's weaves. But as far as Logain, this is where the lore is kind of iffy because from what I recall, when you're done with the power, you can't see Jack. So the fact that it seemed to imply that he was able to see him, like start to channel and glow, so to speak, with the one power, that I don't recall that really happening for someone that's been gentled and or stilled. Like that part, that doesn't compute for me. So that's a change, but I think it makes sense for a visual medium maybe to have that if Logan is going to teach him anything.
Right.
But I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of like I don't know, guys. Like realistically, yeah, I don't know where they're going with it. But I mean, that scene was cool.
It was.
Like when Logain mentioned last season, raging like a raging sun, and ran just that little bit of power that he was able to manifest. He was glowing like a freaking like a raging sun. So even with the taint, so it was kind of like, dang, yeah, Rand ain't no joke, but he just needs to know what he's doing. And I think this is another frustrating part for me because we are getting to episode 7 and 8. We're on 6, and it's like he hasn't really learned anything. But in a general sense, we are on par as far as his ability, as far as being more instinctual than anything else from books 1 through 3.
Yeah, that was two that I noticed, like kind of Rand and Nynaeve kind of having similar paths on how to control their power and where they're going. Where like Nynaeve's kind of like the strongest one on the light side, he's like the strongest one on the dark side. Not to get into Jedi Sith, but like they both have like this control over their power where they really have to get a feel for it. They either give too much or they're not giving anything at all. And that's something that they kind of reiterate with Nynaeve later in the episode. But I didn't really catch on to that. So I'm like, okay, yeah, they kind of like both ends of the spectrum here of like, okay, how this power is supposed to be used, but they both just kind of just don't have a feel of it or a control of it so far. So obviously they're gonna have like some moment at some point in the show where they both just go off. Rand does seem to have a little bit more, but it doesn't seem like he's consciously doing it, which is the problem. Like when he burns the one guy or whatever the thing, I can't think of what they call. Yeah,
or the Fade, I should say.
Yeah,
a lot easier to remember a Fade than Murdral. So.
But yeah, so yeah, we get into that, and then we get Nynaeve and Elaine, who come across, because I wrote it down, Rima and Busan, Rina and Busan, who helped them out and probably shouldn't have. Sometimes just it doesn't pay to be nice, but yeah, they helped them out and pretty much shelter them away. As they're in this town that is, they're capturing anybody, any woman that can wield the power and pretty much just turn them into slaves, which sucks. But yeah, we get a little bit of that, just more of the conversation of like who they are, what they do. They're obviously, people who can channel outside of the tower. And not everybody is a Aes Sedai to that extent. So, again, not getting the Star Wars territory, but like not everybody is Jedi and Sith. Like people wield the power, but they walk different paths. So yeah. So yeah, we get into that. And then we get into Selene killing Leandra's son, which I thought was a tough scene.
I was nonplussed because it's funny because I was expecting another character that hasn't been introduced yet to kind of mess with Leandrin. So it's interesting that they're kind of moving that part up a little bit. But I mean, Lanfear, she's cruel. She likes to mess with people, and very eerily like Leandrin, like she hates men but loves Rand. Like what? So the contradiction there, guys. That scene was very Lanfear. and a little bit like another character again that hasn't been introduced yet. So I was like, okay. So it's like, Leandra, you kind of regret what you done did, huh? So I kind of like seeing that at least a little bit, like maybe her hesitating, like maybe I shouldn't have done what I did, but
Yeah,
it is what it is.
I thought it was another dream sequence. Just kind of the way like she just popped in. I'm like, oh, how'd she get there so fast? I'm like, so okay, can she teleport? Could she have done that the whole time? Because like, why was she riding a horse episodes back? I'm like,
It's something that is again I can't talk about.
the only thing I can think of is maybe she has some type of way to teleport to people that are connected to the Dark One, or that have made a pact to become a dark friend or whatever you want to call it. That's the only thing I can think that she was able to get there. But like she came to the one thing that she couldn't, and the one thing that was holding her back from really joining was to take out her 90-year-old son. And then of course they had to show it, and however she did it, she's pretty much taking the remaining life force out of him as he died, and you finally see Liandrin cry, shed a tear. Like you can tell she kind of wants to fight back, like she wants to do something. And she's like, at the same time, she's kind of like, yeah, this kind of needs to be done. Like she can't do it, but yeah.
I think with Lanfear, remember she tried to, because she felt her, I guess, approach, and she was about to attack. And Lane was like, "Little girl, you don't know who you messing with here. Settle down." So that part, like Leandrian power wise, yes, she was able to overtake Nynaeve and them, but they're novices and accept it. Like this is someone that's lived in olden times where the power was used very differently, and you're seeing that a little taste of what they used to be able to do, cruelly, of course, but just the amount of power that they had, and just the kind of like weaves that they could do back in the day, or the capability of doing those types of things. We're still scratching the surface, y'all. And again, they've name dropped a few Forsakens, so they are coming. So get ready.
If just one of them is this powerful, I'm only imagining, like, what else, just one another, like if all of them are out at once, if just one or two got out and they're struggling to handle this, like I can only imagine how ridiculous this show's about to get. Please, Amazon, let this finish, because I really want to see how this plays out. Like, I'm not sure how many years. If everybody's committed to this project, I'm really hoping that you stay on. We get this done. Hopefully, Matt is the last of the recastings, because we don't need to make it even more obvious. But like, I need to see how the rest of this plays out, and because this is like a 20-year book series, right? If not older.
Yeah, I mean, I was 7 books in, and I was like in the 90s. So.
Oh yeah, so this is like Lord of the Rings. Like, yeah, we going back Tolkien. Like, so yeah, so I just want to see it played out. We get into a nice happy scene of Egwene being tortured, and that was nice. I had to walk away a few times because I couldn't watch that. It was just the way they showed it. We jump right into Lan getting run up on by everybody.
That irritated me. I don't know why it irritated me so much, but I'm just like, I wanted to roll my eyes, because it was like, dang, y'all immediately thought a dark friend just because he had the note, versus like, it was like, did y'all have a conversation that maybe he procured the note and that's what Moiraine was hiding, and that's why? But I guess because I know that, it was kind of like one of those things. I know he's not a bad guy, but
right, that was my same reaction. Like, okay, we just not gonna have a conversation. We pulling out weapons. Like, luckily you didn't go to that, and she came out and withheld them. But it was definitely about to get nasty out there.
And this is what else irritated me. See, this is Moiraine. See, this is why you shouldn't have pushed Lan away, because he would have been with you, versus telling everybody your business.
It wasn't no choice. So.
Like seriously, like you could have had him go to Swan directly, and Alana and them didn't have to even be involved. Like the fact that he even told them we found the Dragon Reborn was like, are we still keeping this a secret? Or is it because you were, hog-tied because they thought you were a dark friend? Like that really irritated me. Um, I don't know why, but at least we got to see Swan this episode. It's funny because we met her on episode 6 last season, and now we see her again this season, episode 6. So I'm just like, I know because the actress is like really busy and like she does a lot of projects. Like she's working. So I have a feeling that's why we just now seeing her. Some tells me that if she was more available, she would have been in more scenes this season or more episodes this season because her absence was definitely felt, and I felt like her presence would have at least set the tone for at least a few things that are going to be popping, especially next season if I had to guess. So especially if it's covering book 4. So but it was nice seeing her.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad we got to finally see her use the one power because we didn't really get to see her too much use the one power in the books. So it was nice to see at least a glimmer of her using it. So I was like, oh, sweet. Especially with them spikes. She was like, oh, I'm ready.
Yeah, you can say like if we, it's everything. I'm thinking she's just there. Like anybody that pops up, I'm like, oh, okay. Because it's really hard to remember who popped up in season 1 at this. Like if you had like a little sprinkle, little bit part, I'm like, okay, this guy looks familiar, but at the same time, if I don't know who I think Matt is the only person in the show that's been recasted, so I don't have to think that anybody else has been touched. Like, okay, is that the same person or not? But
no, Matt's the only one that's been recasted. Swan, yeah, we just met her last season.
I really wanted to see how that fight was going to play out with Land, though. Like, if I'm like, obviously he couldn't. He could probably take the both of them, but probably not her. Like, it was no way. We jump back to Moiraine, who is talking with her sister here, and decides to flex a card about her being the older sister, and this is my house, and she's like, you need to get out. She was like, look, I can put you out. And it's a whole back and forth thing. I thought they squashed this. I thought we were cool, 2 conversations in at this point. Apparently, Moiraine is still in her feelings about, again, not being able to come in and just flex her power to the way she did before. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot different. But this conversation I thought was interesting between them two, because since she's got there, like the sister's been like, hey, I just want you to spend some time. He looks up to your nephew, looks up to you. Can you just give him some acknowledgement? But for some reason, I guess in the way, I don't know if that has anything the way that she ages. Like she just kind of just has no feelings or acknowledgement towards anything or anybody else anymore that's not involved in her master plan.
It's a combination of things. It's one of those things where she is so focused on the Dragonborn that it's like she doesn't have mental capacity to handle anything else, and the fact that she doesn't have her powers. Like she was writing pretty much to Swan before Swan showed up. Right. That she feels like she thinks she's been stilled. I still think she's been shielded, just because of the hints that they've been telling us. But we still don't know for sure. But it seems to be leaning towards shielding versus stilling, because I feel like Lan's reaction, even if the bomb was masked, I think there still would have been some kind of effect for both of them, really, if that bomb was severed, because she was stilled. So I think this is why we're leaning towards, at least for me, and probably book readers as well, we're leaning towards shielded versus stilled. But she thinks she's stilled. Because of the way that Ishamael shielded her. Like, it's a very effective shield. So if that is what it is. But yeah, her scenes, even I was like, dang, Moiraine, you didn't have to be rude to your nephew. Like, he's just trying to spend a little bit of time with you. He hasn't seen you in a minute. But she was literally in the middle of writing, trying to figure out how to write to Swan, hey, I've been still. Like, it's like she's trying to finally acknowledge that she doesn't have her powers. So I think it was just the wrong time for him to pop up. Like, and at least she apologized later. And that's pretty much, I think, more than anything, Lady Amber was getting on her. She was like, look, like you said, your nephew's trying to be like, cool with you. Like, he's admired you for years and like, he's going to be king. Like, Seriously?
I'm burning a bridge.
Like, why are you trying? Yeah, especially if you're supposed to be asked to die. Like, diplomatic relations, y'all. Like that. We got to keep that open line of communication. So, get it together, Moiraine.
And Moraine's a lot younger than I thought she would be. Because I mean, if she's probably about 100 or something like that. At this point, if her sister's about like 70 or 80.
Yeah, I think they kind of aged her up a little bit from the series, to show the agelessness.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting, because that means it seems like she was in the Ice to Die a lot longer before she started searching for Rand. And she's been searching for Rand for like 20 plus years.
Now, it's something I definitely wanted to ask you kind of earlier on, but with that power, with it slowing down aging, does it matter like what age you are at the time that it starts to slow down from that point, or does it kind of like revert you back to like a younger state, or like how does that work? Like kind of like a vampire, when you get bit at 29, you stay 29 for the rest of your life? Like,
no, you just age more slowly. I think it's just with anyone that has the one power or able to wield one power, they just age a lot slower than other people. From my understanding of it. But there are instances where they could look a lot younger, but I can't get into that.
Okay. That answers it for me. I don't need to deep dive into that. We get into what I say. Moiraine being a a-hole. Egwene and Elaine talk about rescuing the Nynaeve.
Oh, you mean Nynaeve and Elaine?
Elaine talk about rescuing Egwene. Sorry, the names. I'm not sure what their plan was. We got one person that can't even channel her power. And then we got I don't know. Elaine, I don't know what Elaine can do. They haven't really given her like a spotlight moment just yet.
I mean, you got a little bit of hint that she can at least channel.
Yeah, she's royalty, so she gotta be
royalty.
Something. Yeah, she wouldn't have been there. She wouldn't have been where she was. I mean, she's still a novice, but she pretty much could have skipped the line if she wanted to. So I think she's a lot more powerful than what we've seen. Oh, they've allowed her to show so far, but they really haven't given her a moment just yet. So we'll see where that goes. We get into the scene about we have the scene with Egwene, and she's being taught how to channel a different way than she's been taught before. While also like what's the name of the collar that they have around her neck?
The IDOM.
The IDOM? No,
ADAM. See, this is where me listening to the books and reading the books kind of like, I think I remember it being pronounced as ADOM or IDOM, something along those lines. But it's like ADAM.
And what was the name? What was the other woman's character's name that was torturing her?
Rhaena, because it's on site. Like, yeah, that's Rhaena.
So what was she calling her? She was calling her Damani.
She's a Suldom. So Egwene's a Damani and Rhaena is a Suldom. So she's able to control the IDOM or the leash.
Okay, I'm thinking like maybe that was like a race of people that she was referring to, like they were different. Okay,
no, that's like the terminology that they call Suldom and Damani. Like that's the connection that the Seanchan have is like Suldom and Damani. So the Suldom train to be able to leash Damani and control Damani, or women with the one power. So
man, where's the guy that was like burning Aes Sedai that he can come and not the actual Aes Sedai, but he can come and take out a few of these. I mean they showed him for like half a second, and then I'm like, okay, just get a cameo. Is he gonna do anything this season or like?
Well, he mentioned that they are aware of the Seanchan, so they're going to try and drive them out. At least the force that's currently in Falm. So that's where the White Cloaks are heading, and they just happen to stop by and be like, "Hey, what's up?" and rescue Avienda from last episode.
Oh, like he wasn't in here at all.
I wasn't expecting, especially since we didn't get Lan and Matt last episode, that we will get at least them this episode, and then of course focus on the rest of the cast. I knew especially we were going to focus on Egwene. Like there was like no way they were going to wait for that.
we cut right back to gullible old Matt, finally finding out that Min was playing him the whole time. There was everything's just too coincidental. Wait, as he says, hey, wait, even before that, like, okay, and she's like, I'm your friend Matt. Yeah, okay. I think it was gonna happen so soon because I feel like they've been out for like 2 episodes. But
well, they gotta kind of move his story along too,
yeah.
and the fact that they are in Karian, and this is where again the show hasn't really explained very well because Pod and Faye mentioned last season that the Fab Five, Nynaeve, Egwene, Perrin, Matt, and Rand are Temeran. And what happens when you're Temeran is sometimes you just have luck running into people, situations just happen to work in your favor. Just stuff happens that can work in your favor or can like you need to be in this situation in order to move forward. So it's kind of like the universe's way of making sure you're placed in where you need to be. So the Matt and Rand meeting where they met was I think that was like a Temeran thing. They were meant to meet at that point. And again, because of men pushing Matt towards that direction, it's kind of like stuff's working, but in a way it's good, but in another way it could be bad. So like because of the Shamael manipulation, because of men being roped into something that she didn't even want to do, and that's why she kind of like warned Matt. It's like, look, I'm sorry I had to tell you like your future, but you're gonna be stabbing your bestie.
Right.
And it was just really nice to see them reunite because we haven't seen these characters with each other for so long at all this season because they're off doing their own thing or get captured and tortured. So it's kind of like, okay, we kind of got that chemistry. And it was important, at least for me, to see the new Matt interacting with some of the main cast, especially because their friendship is important. And is that chemistry the same as Barney? And it is. So I'm happy to say that
you definitely felt it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Again, had you not pointed it out, I'm like, I didn't even notice. But that's also, I feel like that's how minimal this guy, like Matt's part is in this overall story so far. He just hasn't really played a big role. Like he's there, but he's like hasn't really done anything that's like, we got two Aes Sedai, we got one Dragon Reborn, we got one Wolf Boy, and then we got Matt who does nothing. Like so
it's coming, that's all I can say. Matt's gonna become really cool.
I hope so Min mentions the dagger, which again I thought was done with. Somehow restoring itself and popping, so like once you touch it, you've always have it type thing. But I guess that's
the connection that you can have to it could be like addicting. So at least that's how they're portraying it on the show.
Yeah.
And I guess in a way it was that way a little bit with the book because Matt had it with him, and then Pod on Fame has it now. So I'm assuming he still has the dagger. So Matt's connection to it is still, even though Moiraine kind of healed him, it's still, I feel like they're trying to show that it's tenuous at best, and that's why Ishamael is like, yeah, he's mine. Like as far as like I can lead him to the dark, I can easily lead him to the dark because of Matt's circumstances and the fact that he has an addictive personality and the dagger didn't help Matt. So that's why he's like, it's a wrap. Like Matt's mine. Like we straight. Like. But yeah, it just sucks because Matt totally would have went with Rand to Falm to rescue him. But because of Ben's warning, it was kind of like, dang. And it's like, you can see, it's kind of like, dang, it's like he's falling into this pattern. It's like he doesn't want to fall into this pattern. And it's like, it's kind of messed up.
He clearly doesn't want to be the guy that everybody thinks he's gonna be.
Exactly.
Like, he wants to fight that at all costs, and we've seen that from season 1. It was just like, yeah, I don't want to be the evil one. I don't want to be the guy that XYZ. And he breaks. He's like, which is why he leaves. It was like, I don't want to be anywhere near you guys, and have to be. But my question is that Men's prophecy, like, because she told him not to go and kind of change your fate, does that change anything, or does it still kind of play out the same way?
We still don't know how it's going to go
Even if
down.
he stabs Rand, I don't think that would kill him.
No, I mean she's making an assumption that if he's stabbed, then he's going to die.
Right.
But because she doesn't know what else may be happening at the same time as that, so there could be an Aes Sedai ready, like right there, that's like nearby that can easily heal him. We still have Lanfear because she ain't trying to get rid of Rand anytime soon. Like that's her boy toy right now. So they still need to have him play his role, or the assumption of him playing his role. You know, yeah. The Forsaken make a lot of assumptions here. It's kind of like they want to underestimate our Fab Five, and it's like, chill. But at the same time, of course, they're gonna underestimate these Fab Five. They're young, they're headstrong, they're stubborn, and they have their own fears that they can exploit. So it makes total sense. It's like a combination of things. So with Rand, now Lan sees him and is like, I guess they're gonna bring him to the Armlet seat. I think this is what we saw in the trailer, or at least I did, in the trailer for season 2, as well as there was something else in this episode that I saw that was
I've seen very minimal trailers going into the season, and to be honest, they really didn't cut that many, as many as I thought they would have. It was like, because with everything that was going on, I was like, is this ever coming out? Are we ever gonna get this? What's going on? Okay, like hopefully their laws over there don't affect. Well, not laws, but like the strike doesn't really affect anybody that's over there. So maybe we can get the seasons pumping Amazon. We can get this book going. I don't want to be an old man before this finishes. After that, that whole thing with Matt Min and him not going with Rand, we get a scene with Amelin. I'm saying it right. The Amelin shows up.
I call her the Armelin, but it again, we between book readers and audio readers, we get the pronunciation all the way. Like we're going by what we know. So I call her Amelin. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. The Amelin. I think that's what they said on the show. So I think that's canon.
Yeah, she comes into town looking for her girl Moiraine.
Well, that's because Lan found her.
Yeah. Nobody has come across that yet. Nobody. I don't that secret hasn't been exposed. About their relationship or like everything that's going on.
No, but it's interesting that I think we're getting what we should have gotten at the beginning of the season, as far as Siuan in the retinue of Aes Sedai meeting Rand, or dominant seat meeting Rand. So this should be interesting because this is taking place later than what happened in the book. But if it turns out similarly to what happened in the book, I'll be happy with that too.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I like her, but I like her character, by the way. I would like to see like the extent of her power. We do have the scene. I don't know if this was the same episode it was last. I think it was this episode where Lan pulls up on her and she like starts channeling her power. I'm like, oh man, we gonna see what she could do. And then it was like, nah, oh man, but Lan was about to get got. It's like in the episode. Busan and Rima. I say Rima. Busan. Rima. They decide to do the noble thing and turn themselves. Oh, she decides to turn herself in because they're looking for somebody that channel. I don't know how they found out. I guess they can feel it.
Yeah, they can feel it.
We get this epic fight in the courtyard. Where we have that pairing between Aes Sedai and the water here, and they take out two of theirs. You take out the archer. They put the collar around her neck, and that was all she wrote here.
So I knew about Rima. I knew that she was going to get caught. It was the way that they went about it. That's different. So what made it so bad was like as soon as I knew who was cast, I'm like, in a good way, but also in a bad way too, because I'm like,
Man.
It's like I wanna connect with her, and I did. Even the little bit that we did, that's what made it so bad. Like it was bad enough in the book, so it was like double whammy because she's a dark skinned character, like a black skinned person playing this character. So I'm just like, dang it, y'all. I'm tired. Yeah, I just need y'all to last a little bit longer, y'all. Like, can y'all cast some of these characters that I know last a pretty good while in the books? Can we have them, please?
Get these 3 scripts. Like, that's it? Like, oh. That's all we get.
That's not too much to ask. I mean, again, I'm happy about Avienda, Nynaeve, and Perrin. Like, I'm happy, but come on, y'all. Even Siuan. Siuan, yeah, I'm just like, but then they may change her story up. I don't know. That's one thing about Rafe did warn us that some characters that make it to the end may not make it in the show. So I'm just like, you know what?
Yeah, change it up.
And that's in some ways is good. Like Uno is the perfect example of that. So yeah. Even I don't know. But with Rima, yes, I did know. I think I even knew about Mygon. I think, if I recall correctly, there was an actual chapter that when she was telling us what happened, I think that's what we got, like a brief glimpse of that in the books. But we met Rima already, captured already Damani. So us getting to know her was nice, but at the same time bittersweet. And I also think with Nynaeve and Elaine, being on the run or being hidden, it would make more sense that she would at least, help them, be able to help them get to this point. Because, yeah, they were struggling already. And that's why Basan was like, I'm going to knock y'all out and come here because y'all doing too much. And at least Elaine was doing a little bit better than Nynaeve. Like, Nynaeve is always like gung-ho, and then she's like wondering why she gets into these scrapes. But yeah, they're now going to need to figure out the Idom, yeah, and figure out how to rescue Egwene. And we even saw Loyal and Ingtar this episode as what we call, I think it was a Decavelli. The Decavelli. Y'all, my pronunciation is trash, but they're pretty much like servants of Lady Suroth or anyone that's like highborn or of the blood. They're kind of like special servants. They're kind of like there for somewhat eye candy, but also just like they're pets, pretty much. Kind of similar to Damani, but they don't have powers. So that's, from what I can recall, that's like their purpose. So that's why they're kind of like dressed the way that they're dressed. They're dressed a little more like special versus like regular servants. Right. So we did get to see in this episode Loyal sing, and the tree kind of like grew, kind of like bloomed or whatever. And I thought this was an interesting way of introducing Loyal and how Ogier sang, like tree singing. That is something that is in the books. I was kind of hoping it would take someplace else, but I guess this is a nice little tease, especially if I'm hoping that we can get more of that later, especially when it's not when he's captive.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was an interesting way of introducing the tree game.
Yeah, because it's the first time they show him do that, like, at all. Like, so I was like, man, why could have been doing? I mean, I wonder if he has this, like, any other power, like, what else he can do. But wondering why this was the episode, why they decided to show that in particular. So it's also really just, these people are really starting to get on my nerves. Like, we've only been around for like 10 minutes, and I just hate all of them.
Like I said, book 2, you're gonna hate the Seanchan. You hate the Seanchan on this show, and that is that they're doing their job. Like, I hate the Seanchan. Like I said, Arena is on site. So Yeah, Egwene was going through it this episode. Yes, this is a good transition to that. Well, at least with Loyal and Atar, they kind of know where Egwene is, and then they also know where the Horn is.
Right.
We're still mentioning the Horn, but not. It's kind of like we kind of know what it does, but it's not really. It's kind of like a blink and you miss it kind of a thing. So, with Egwene, yeah, some of the dialogue, especially in the beginning, was very similar to the dialogue in the book, like almost like straight word for word. And just the struggle of, not being, not trying to fight, like being accepting of the situation. Is very adamant that she's going to remain, like, her identity is Egwene. She is not a demon. She is someone that's, trying to be an Aes Sedai. And I think that look of her determination, especially when we realize that Magon is next door to her, and we met her last season in episode 6, talking to Moiraine. She was the blue sitter that was trying to get her to stay, and she mentioned about investigating what was going on in Thom, or in the West, because they're in the West. So just to see her reduced to that, a sitter who had authority, who had like a huge place in among Aes Sedai, broken like that. And then we also see Rima broken. Not only that, but we get to see for the first time, we saw last season what happens to a warder when he loses his Aes Sedai. This time, we actually get to see what happens to when an Aes Sedai loses her warder. And it's just as devastating. It's just as crazy. They go ham. And she didn't have to break old girl's body like that. Yeah. But she was feeling so much in that broke. She was broken. And so she was, of course, able to be collared. And it was even where he hesitated, because he's like, he couldn't kill her, even though that's what she wanted, because it's like, kill me versus me being taken, and she's still taken. So she has to deal with that grief and being broken in, like Egwene is, like Magon has been doing. And that, what that does to someone's mind.
Good thing you didn't kill her. Hopefully she.
No. It would have been better off if she was dead.
Oh man, damn, that sucks. She's caught. But yeah, like you said, that whole thing with Rhaena, Egwene, finally picking up the cup of water after her potentially thinking it was going to be a weapon. The periodic change that you see of the damage on her, like the way they did her eyes, the scarring, everything like that, was really, really good. The contortions they were doing, like when it was really hard. Like, oh man, this really hard to watch that. We also found out that the mysterious stranger on the other side of the wall was Blue Aja. I don't remember her name, right?
My God.
Like, oh, see, so they, again, like you said, she makes a comment about how long it took to break her, versus how long it took Egwene. Egwene was holding on. I mean, this is obviously of days, but they don't really go into like, okay, how many days this actually was between, how long they had her. We just see a couple of days and nights. Yeah, it took a while. It was hard to watch. Put her on the wall. Came in, kicked her all up, man. I was just like, man, Egwene just cannot catch a break, man. Cannot catch a break.
And what makes it so bad is Rhaena thinks that she's doing something. Like, it's kind of like, oh, I have my own pet. Let me see if I can, train her. And it seems like she's the nicer of the Sul'dam. Like, it's kind of like Egwene lucked out. Like, what? If she's this bad, no telling how the other ones are and how Magon fared by having a tougher Sul'dam. So it's kind of like, well, dang. And even it was kind of like she was getting like, especially when they were connected and Egwene put the tree on fire. It was kind of like, finally, I'm feeling a connection to my pet, and then she's still resisting me, and I think that's why she, kicked her and all that other stuff. When she was frustrated, um, because she wanted Egwene to be broken already, or at least, starting to accept her reality, and she was still resisting. Um, so I thought that moment was interesting, but I also think, I really am wondering if Egwene was remembering what happened, being linked to the sister in episode 8, and how she was like sucking her power, and they were linked. So in a way, the Idom makes them linked to each other. So it's kind of like the Soldom is using her power, and when Raina was like, our power, and she's like, nah, my power.
Yeah.
I want to say the B word, but so I wonder if that's where her brain went. But yeah, this episode was tough. Like, this episode, even with everything else going on, in a way, even though it was weirdly paced, it gave us a relief before going back to, and I knew from episode 5 last season, when Egwene was captured by the White Cloaks, that Madame Manon was going to bring it this season with what happened this episode. She did. So, I mean, everyone is doing a phenomenal job acting in this show. So, and I want to give a shout out to the composer, Lorne Balfe. He did a score last season, and he did a score this season. He is doing the daggone thing with the music this season. Like, this episode in particular, like with Egwene and Rhaena, and then Rima trying to fight off the Seanchan and being collared. Like, the music was hitting.
It definitely was. Like, it was hitting the right moments, the right parts, right section. I thought they definitely did a phenomenal job on the music on this show. I could definitely listen to this in the car on the way on the way to work. Like,
yeah, I need to listen to this season score, because I'll probably listen to it like I did last season with season 1. Like, I was, especially with Nynaeve's theme music, for her and Lan's theme music out. Yeah.
Look, I'm just tired of seeing my heroes down right now. I'm tired of the sad episodes. Can we get some good, like, can the heroes win? Can we get some momentum here for the heroes in the next episode? Is that possible? I don't want to see no more of these torture scenes with Egwene. She's been through enough. Like, come on, like, I'm really, come on. Gotta have a come up. Nynaeve's not doing nothing. She's just wasting her power. She's always crying about she can't do this, she can't do that. Matt is he's like, only one that seems to be doing what they actually need to do in the show is Perrin. that's the only.
And that's not saying much.
Like, everybody else is, oh man, I can't do this. I'm so jealous. Look, let's get it done. Like, let's get a happy episode. But yeah, I just thought they did, like I said, they did a really good job with the torture scene here. Like you said, even with it being all over the place, I think it's still hit a lot of good points. We got Egwene, we got, like you said, the reunion with Matt and Rand again for the first time in, like, God knows how many episodes. He's the only one right now that even knows he's alive, outside of like 2 other people. Got Lan selling out Rand's location. And like I said, it was packed. It was packed with a lot, and we got a lot too. And like I said, hopefully, I really hope Egwene gets out of this cell. Because honestly, at this point, to me, she seems like the more powerful Aes Sedai. She seems more powerful than Nynaeve, but obviously, the book, says otherwise. So, from our perspective, she seems more powerful than Nynaeve. But I'm just saying, the way she took that tree out, the way she was able to burn it from the roots, completely unclear. I thought that was pretty cool. So,
well, okay, so I know I know stuff's coming. So it's not like I just want us to get there for cool moments with the characters. But unfortunately, He's saying there's torture. You're tired of the torture, and I'm just like,
Oh man, it's more. Yeah,
uh,
it's
uh,
not my first
uh.
show. I should know better, right?
I'm also like, because I have a feeling we're going to get Perrin, and that'll be in the next episode, and I have some thoughts on that. But I did want to touch on really quick, Gwen seeing Rand in her dream, and Lanfear kind of navigate like orchestrating that. I do think that Egwene was really dreaming and she really did dream Rand, but at the same time not realizing that Rand was real in her dream. Like they were able to communicate with each other through the dream world. So I'm just wondering if they're gonna circle back to that at some point. It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
Because of what I know.
I definitely because like they do definitely break away and kind of home back in that she was seeing that, like she came back to reality and was like, hey Rand, like, so I'm hoping they have their reunion. Like Rand had to sleep around a couple of times before he got back to her, but he finally got his whole phase out and is coming back to Ukraine once. Yeah. Like I said, episode 6 has been a fantastic episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed this conversation that we had. Everybody's name is like confused. Nat breaking it down for us, giving us the hitting us from the verses for the original Bible of Wheel of Time itself. Like I said, it was just a tough episode to watch with everything kind of going on. But I said it definitely had a lot of good moments that I mentioned earlier. But like I said, we only got 2 episodes left, which sucks. But these are long episodes. They're 8, so I can imagine why they're they're 8 season episodes. And I'm hoping. I think season 3 has already been announced. I won't get too whatever into that, but I do see like they already have a season 3 thing up, like IMDb and stuff like that.
Yeah, they've been filming, if I recall correctly, season 3, and there have been like some rumors as far as like unofficial cast announcements. So I'm hoping that we are going to definitely get season 3, because you know how sometimes something's greenlit and then they push it, they don't do it no more. That has happened. So I'm hoping that Amazon is still invested in the show and we are going to get season 3. Because I think because I feel like Jeff Bezos also read the book. So I feel like since he knows what's coming, I'm thinking that he's like, okay, let's do what y'all need to do so we can get
right.
it. Like, or not, okay, it's not like it's not good already, but I'm just saying there's more awesome stuff coming and I just want to be able to see that. I've been saying that every week. Like,
I'm with it. So again, like I said last week, guys, leave us a comment below. Nat's gonna answer all your questions. I'm gonna chime in. This review, this recap and review is being posted on both our channels, both on Team JVS, Team JVS, Media. Yeah. So check us both on that. Support us. Ask us questions on both channels. We're gonna answer. I'm gonna answer. She's gonna answer. Let us know what you thought about tonight's episode, where you see this going next. I have not seen the preview for the next episode, so I don't know what's going in. So I'll definitely see where that goes. Like I said, 2 more episodes. We're definitely happy to talk about this every week. I cannot wait till we get into this next one. Hopefully it's lighter, because I'm tired of this. I need a light episode. And now that we got the Queen Mother in town, I want to see where that conversation is going to go. So again, episode 6, Eyes of Pity. We will see you guys for another episode 7 for another review and recap, and we'll see you guys next time. See you.
Bye.